All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Saira Mujtaba and with me is Sarabjit Kaur. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold talks with his Denmark counterpart in New Delhi today. UPSC selects 31 specialists from private sector for senior level posts in central government. India's COVID vaccination coverage crosses 93 crore 90 lakh mark. Jammu and Kashmir government decides to transfer over 974 canals of land to Airport Authority of India for establishment of new terminal at Jammu Airport. One Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist killed in an encounter with security forces in Natipora area of Srinagar. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal urges ASEAN to remove barriers and curb misuse of free trade agreements by third parties. 136 countries sign a landmark pact to enforce at least 15% corporate tax on large multinationals. At least 100 people killed in a suicide attack on Shiite mosque in Kunduz city of Afghanistan. ISIS-K claims responsibility. And in IPL cricket, Mumbai Indians beat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 42 runs but failed to qualify for playoffs. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is underway, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 01123978046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Danish counterpart Ms. Mette Frederiksen will hold bilateral talks in New Delhi today. Ms. Frederiksen arrived in New Delhi late last night on a 3-day visit to India. Minister of State for External Affairs Meenakshi Lekhi received her at the airport. The Prime Minister of Denmark is scheduled to call on President Ramnath Kovind this evening at Rashtrapati Bhavan. A report from our correspondent.
Prime Minister of Denmark Mette Frederiksen will be accorded ceremonial reception this morning at the forecourts of Rashtrapati Bhavan. She will pay floral tributes to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, at Rajghat. During the talks, Ms. Frederiksen and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will discuss the entire gamut of bilateral relations and review the progress in implementation of the Green Strategic Partnership. Both sides will also discuss regional and multilateral issues of mutual interest. Several agreements will be signed after the talks. During the virtual summit held in September last year, India and Denmark had established a Green Strategic Partnership. During her visit, Ms. Frederiksen will also interact with think tanks, students and members of the civil society. India and Denmark have strong trade and investment ties. More than 200 Danish companies are present in India and over 60 Indian companies have a presence in Denmark. The visit will further strengthen and enhance the close and friendly ties between India and Denmark. Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has spoken to Fumio Kishida and congratulated him for assuming charge as the Prime Minister of Japan. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said that he looks forward to working with the new Prime Minister of Japan to further strengthen the India-Japan Special Strategic and Global Partnership and to enhance cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region.
A total of 31 candidates have been recommended as Joint Secretary, Director and Deputy Secretary in various ministries and departments of the government on contract and deputation basis. Among the 31 lateral entries, 3 candidates have been selected for the post of Joint Secretary and 19 for the post of Director. Department of Personnel and Training had requested the Union Public Service Commission UPSC in December 2020 and February this year to select suitable persons to join the government at the level of Joint Secretary, Director and Deputy Secretary in various ministries and departments on contract basis. The UPSC launched online recruitment application for these posts, and in response, a total of 295 applications for Joint Secretary level posts, 1,247 applications for Director level posts, and 489 applications for Deputy Secretary level posts were received. The UPSC shortlisted 231 candidates for the interviews. The interviews were conducted from the 27th of September to 8th of October 2021. In a major achievement in global arena, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has yet again enhanced India's stature and capabilities to make UK mend its discriminatory move and grant permission to vaccinated Indians to travel to UK without quarantine. The United Kingdom has announced that Indian travellers who have been fully vaccinated with Covishield or any other UK-approved vaccine will not be required to undergo the mandatory 10-day quarantine on arrival in the country from Monday. Taking to Twitter, British High Commissioner to India Alex Ellis said, from the 11th of October, no quarantine will be required for Indian travellers visiting UK who are fully vaccinated with Covishield or another UK-approved vaccine. He thanked the Indian government for close cooperation on the issue.
India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 93 crore 90 lakh mark. The Health Ministry said more than 71 lakh vaccine doses were administered till 7 p.m. yesterday. Out of the total vaccination, more than 67 crore 63 lakh vaccine doses have been given as the first dose, while over 26 crore 27 lakh doses have been administered as the second dose. Vaccination exercise as a tool to protect the most vulnerable population groups in the country from COVID-19 continues to be regularly reviewed and monitored at the highest level. Jammu and Kashmir government has decided to transfer over 974 canals of land to Airport Authority of India for the establishment of new terminal at Jammu Airport. More from our correspondent.
The Administrative Council, in a significant decision which met yesterday under the chairmanship of Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha in Srinagar, gave nod to transfer the state land measuring over 974 canals at village Rakh Raipur in Jammu in favour of Airport Authority of India, free of cost for establishment of new terminal at Jammu Airport. The establishment of the new terminal will significantly enhance the capacity of the Jammu Airport in handling air traffic, which will boost tourism, economy and generate employment opportunities. The decision comes in line with the policy of the government to promote the growth of Indian aviation sector in a significant manner so as to ensure a multiplier effect on the economy. Sunil Kaul, AIR News, Srinagar.
Union Minister for Jal Shakti, Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, today inaugurated 15 projects and virtually laid foundation of 15 new projects of Jal Shakti Department, Jammu and Kashmir in Srinagar. The total cost of the completed projects was 59 crore rupees and the cost of the new projects is worth 54.87 crore rupees. Speaking on the occasion, the Union Minister said the Government of India is committed to provide assured basic services to the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. Shekhawat said the Union Territory is moving swiftly towards progress and development, adding that J&K will become a manufacturing hub of various products. As part of public outreach program, the Union Minister also visited the 10 million gallons per day Tangnar water supply scheme at Pantha Chowk in Srinagar, where he held an interactive session with Panchayat representatives and Pani Samiti members to discuss the status of Jal Jeevan Mission in their respective areas. Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting, Dr. L. Murugan, will arrive in Srinagar this morning on a 3-day visit to Jammu and Kashmir. The visit of the minister is part of the Public Outreach Program initiative of the central government for Jammu and Kashmir. More details from our Srinagar correspondent.
The Union Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting, Dr. Murugan, will inaugurate RAS established under Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana at Avantipora today. Later in the day, he is scheduled to inaugurate various projects in South Kashmir's Shopian district, apart from interacting with the district sectoral officers of Shopian. Tomorrow, the minister will visit trout fish farming project at Kokarnag in Anantnag district of South Kashmir. Dr. Murugan is also scheduled to visit All India Radio and Doordarshan Kendra in Srinagar on Monday to oversee the functioning of AIR and DDK in Kashmir. Sunil Kaul, AIR News, Srinagar.
In Jammu and Kashmir, a Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist was killed in an encounter with security forces in Natipura area of Srinagar yesterday evening. The slain terrorist has been identified as Aqib Bashir from Shopian. Police said the terrorist fired upon the police party near Natipura. The police also retaliated, in which one terrorist was killed while another managed to escape. One AK-47, 3 magazines and some live bullets have been recovered from the slain terrorist. A search operation has been launched to nab the terrorist.
In Tamil Nadu, the second phase of Panchayat Union elections will take place in 28 districts today from 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. The last hour will be reserved for COVID-19 patients. According to the State Election Commission, around 1 lakh government employees will be deployed to carry out the polling exercise. BJP President JP Nadda will arrive in Imphal today on a 2-day visit to Manipur. He will address a public meeting at SAI ground in Uttalu in Bishnupur district this afternoon. Tomorrow, Mr. Nadda will inaugurate the newly constructed building of State BJP in Imphal city.
Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India, K.V. Subramanian, has said that he has decided to return back to academia following the completion of his 3-year fulfilling tenure. In a statement, he said to get an opportunity to serve one's nation is an absolute privilege. Mr. Subramanian has said that he has received tremendous encouragement and support from within the government and has been fortunate to enjoy warm relationship with senior functionaries. He said Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has been of great support. He said her feedback has been as committed as her support. Tata Sons Group has won the bid for acquiring the national carrier Air India. Tata Sons made a winning bid of 18,000 crore rupees for Air India. TELUS Private Limited, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Tata Sons, has emerged as successful bidder for acquiring Air India, beating a consortium led by Mr. Ajay Singh, whose bid was 15,100 crore rupees. Both the bidders had quoted above the reserve price of 12,906 crore rupees. While addressing a press conference in New Delhi, the Department of Investment and Public Asset Management DIPAM Secretary Tuhin Kantapande said the winning bid comprises of taking over of 15,300 crore rupees debt and paying rest by cash. Mr. Pandey said the transaction is expected to be completed by December 2021. Mr. Pandey said an inter-ministerial group comprising Home Minister Amit Shah, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia cleared the winning bid for Air India on 4th of October.
Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has called upon ASEAN bloc to do away with the non-tariff barriers or NTBs. He also called for curbing the misuse of free trade agreements by third parties, often outside the ASEAN region. Mr. Goyal was addressing the special plenary with the trade ministers of the region, Indo-ASEAN Business, organized by the Confederation of Indian Industry. India has currently been witnessing exponential growth in imports from the ASEAN region, while its exports have been impeded by non-reciprocity in FTA concessions, NTBs, import regulations, quotas and export taxes from ASEAN countries.
A group of 136 countries have signed a landmark global treaty to enforce a corporate tax rate of at least 15% for large multinationals. The deal marks a shift in tax policy because it not only imposes a minimum corporate tax rate, but it also forces companies to pay taxes where they operate, not just where they have their headquarters. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, announced this major breakthrough after years of disagreement. Out of the 140 countries involved, 136 supported the deal, with Kenya, Nigeria, Pakistan and Sri Lanka abstaining for now. You're listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold talks with his Denmark counterpart in New Delhi today. UPSC selects 31 specialists from private sector for senior level posts in central government. India's COVID vaccination coverage crosses 93 crore 90 lakh mark. Jammu and Kashmir government decides to transfer over 974 canals of land to Airport Authority of India for establishment of new terminal at Jammu Airport. One Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist killed in an encounter with security forces in Natipura area of Srinagar. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal urges ASEAN to remove barriers and curb misuse of free trade agreements by third parties. 136 countries sign a landmark pact to enforce at least 15% corporate tax on large multinationals. At least 100 people killed in a suicide attack on Shiite mosque in Kunduz city of Afghanistan. ISISK claims responsibility. And in IPL cricket, Mumbai Indians beat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 42 runs but failed to qualify for playoffs. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
India has hit out at the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, saying it has no locus standi in matters concerning India's internal affairs and it should not allow its platform to be subverted by vested interests. In response to a media query about a statement by the OIC on an incident in Assam, MEA spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said, India notes with utmost regret that the OIC once again chose to comment on matters internal to India by issuing a factually incorrect and misleading statement on the incident in Assam. He said Indian authorities have taken due legal action in this regard. The spokesperson said the Government of India rejects all such unwarranted statements and hopes no such references are made in the future. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events is being organized by the government as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News, Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
9th October is the death anniversary of a legendary freedom fighter, Dr. Saifuddin Kichlu, hailed as the hero of the Jallianwala Bagh protests against the draconian Rowlatt Act of 1919. Dr. Kichlu was also a founding leader of the Naujawan Bharat Sabha, which rallied thousands of students and young Indians to the nationalist cause. He was born on 15th January in 1888 in a Kashmiri family which had moved to Amritsar. A student of sharp intellect, Kichlu completed his bachelor's from Cambridge University in London and obtained his PhD from Germany.
His revolutionary aspirations dated back to his Cambridge days when he actively participated in Majlis, a society formed by Indian students to discuss India's colonial wars. It was through these meetings that he met India's future Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. Kichlu returned to India in 1913 and started practicing law in Amritsar. Professor Amandeep Bal, head of the Department of History in Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar, says, after his return from abroad, one thing that stood out vividly was Dr. Kichlu's devotion and love for the nation.
डॉक्टर सैफुद्दीन किचलू जब आए तो उन्होंने आके देखा कि अगर हमें हिंदुस्तान को आगे लेके जाना है तो हमें मिलके काम करना चाहिए। यही वजह थी कि अगले दिनों में उन्होंने काफी सारी ऐसी एक्टिविटीज में पार्टिसिपेट किया कि यहाँ पे ये चीजें प्रमोट हो जाए।
Deeply influenced by Mahatma Gandhi and the national movement, Dr. Kichlu left his legal practice to join the cause. In March 1919, the Imperial Legislative Council passed the Rowlatt Act, which empowered the government to put people in jail without trial.
Dr. Saifuddin Kichlu was one of the leaders who protested against the legislation. Professor Amandeep Bal says Dr. Kichlu's oratory was very powerful.
उन दिनों में बड़ी बड़ी मीटिंग्स होती थी जिनमें लोग इनको सुनने के लिए जाते थे क्योंकि डॉक्टर सैफुद्दीन किचलू बहुत बढ़िया ओरेटर थे। वो हिंदुस्तान की बात भी करते थे, कम्युनल यूनिटी की भी बात करते थे, साथ में सत्याग्रह की बात करते थे, तो लोग उनके साथ जुड़ते थे।
On 9th April 1919, Dr. Kichlu and another freedom fighter, Dr. Satyapal, helmed an anti-government procession that progressed through the heart of Amritsar. The two leaders were arrested and interned in Dharamshala. On 13th April 1919, a meeting was called in the Jallianwala Bagh to protest the arrest. As the meeting was underway, British Brigadier General Reginald Dyer ordered his troops to open fire on the peaceful protesters.
The troops fired 1,650 rounds of bullets at the gathering, killing around 1,000 as per the Indian National Congress. The government released Dr. Kichlu in December 1919. He was a staunch advocate of communal harmony, strongly opposing the idea of partition along religious lines.
Dr. Kichlu suffered a cardiac arrest and passed away on 9th October 1963. On his death, Jawaharlal Nehru remarked that he lost a very dear friend who was a brave and steadfast captain in the struggle for India's freedom.
It was also on this day in 1942, freedom fighter from Punjab, Satyavati Devi, made a daring act of replacing the British flag with the Congress flag in Lahore jail. Popularly known as BG or Mataji, Satyavati had been arrested on August 26, 1942, along with her 3 young children. While in prison, she organized a protest over the deplorable conditions political prisoners were forced to live in. At 5 a.m. on October 9, 1942, she rallied fellow prisoners and replaced the British flag atop the women's jail with the Congress flag.
Satyavati Devi, the granddaughter of Swami Shraddhanand and the mother of former Vice President of India Krishan Kant, hosted freedom fighters such as Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru and Bhagat Singh. She often fed Bhagat Singh with her own hands. She extended hospitality to the freedom fighters even as her husband, Lala Achint Ram, a freedom fighter who was popularly known as the Gandhi of Punjab, spent considerable time in British jails in Lahore. On the night before he left Lahore, nationalist leader Chandrasekhar Azad hid in her house. She left for her heavenly abode on 26 October 2010. Satyavati College of the University of Delhi is named after the great freedom fighter.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
At least 100 people were killed and scored injured in a bomb attack on a Shiite mosque in Afghanistan's Kunduz city yesterday. A suicide bomber detonated an explosive vest as worshippers gathered inside the mosque for Friday prayers. The latest attack comes days after a dozen people were killed in a mosque attack in Kabul. Islamic State Khorasan ISK group has claimed responsibility for the attack. The Taliban have confirmed the deadly attack but did not confirm the number of casualties. Shiites make up roughly 20% of the Afghan population. Many of them are Hazara, an ethnic group that has been heavily persecuted in Afghanistan. In IPL cricket, Mumbai Indians beat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 42 runs in a high-scoring match but failed to qualify for the playoffs at Zaid Cricket Stadium, Abu Dhabi last night. Opting to bat first, Mumbai scored their highest ever total 235 runs for 9 wickets in the stipulated 20 overs. In reply, Hyderabad could only score 193 runs for 8 in the stipulated overs. In another match, Royal Challengers Bangalore defeated Delhi Capitals by 7 wickets in a last ball thriller at Dubai last night.
And now let's take a look at the weather update for today. National capital Delhi will have a mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature was 23 degrees Celsius and maximum is likely to be 36 degrees Celsius. Mumbai may experience rain or thunder showers towards the evening. The temperature will hover between 25 and 35 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have a partly cloudy sky. The city may observe temperatures between 27 and 34 degrees Celsius. Chennai and Puducherry are expected to have a generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. In Chennai, temperature will vary between 28 and 32 degrees Celsius, while in Puducherry, the temperature will hover between 27 and 32 degrees Celsius. Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Visakhapatnam, Thiruvananthapuram will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Temperatures in Bengaluru will hover between 21 and 28 degrees Celsius, while minimum temperature in Hyderabad was 23 and maximum may be around 32 degrees Celsius. Visakhapatnam may observe temperatures between 27 and 34 degrees Celsius, while in Thiruvananthapuram, the temperature will hover between 24 and 32 degrees Celsius. Jammu, Srinagar, Leh, Gilgit and Muzaffarabad will witness a mainly clear sky. In Jammu, the temperature will hover between 20 and 34 degrees Celsius, while in Srinagar, the temperature will vary between 9 and 28 degrees Celsius. In Leh, the minimum and maximum temperature will be between 1 to 19 degrees Celsius, while the temperatures in Gilgit will hover between 9 and 30 degrees Celsius. Minimum temperature in Muzaffarabad was 16, while maximum will be around 33 degrees Celsius. Guwahati, Imphal, Shillong, Aizawl, Kohima, Itanagar, Gangtok and Agartala will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature in Guwahati was 25, while maximum will be around 35 degrees Celsius. Imphal may observe temperatures between 21 and 31 degrees Celsius. In Shillong, the temperature will hover between 17 and 35 degrees Celsius. In Aizawl, the temperature will vary between 19 and 28 degrees Celsius.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. All papers have widely noticed Air India's acquisition by Tata. Hindustan Times carries an iconic picture of J.R.D. Tata posing with an Air India aircraft on the airline's 30th anniversary celebrations in 1962. The headline says, Maharaja boards return flight, while another headline reads, Welcome back, Air India, says Ratan Tata, ready to rebuild. The pioneer says, Tata's back in Air India cockpit. The Weekend Business Standard writes, Air India goes to Tata's for 18,000 crores. The Tribune notes, India-China troops face off near Tawang retreat. Maria Ressa from Philippines and Dmitry Medvedev from Russia get Nobel Peace Prize. The Asian Age reports, Nobel Peace goes to 2 embattled journos. No jab, no entry, Delhi government staff given October 15 deadline for shots. And finally, that climbing chute in our backyard on which we relied heavily during the pandemic has now been shown the green flag by the government. Giloy is safe to use, says Ayush Ministry, writes the Hindu.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold talks with his Denmark counterpart in New Delhi today. UPSC selects 31 specialists from private sector for senior level posts in central government. India's COVID vaccination coverage crosses 93 crore 90 lakh mark. Jammu and Kashmir government decides to transfer over 974 canals of land to Airport Authority of India for establishment of new terminal at Jammu Airport. One Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist killed in an encounter with security forces in Nathipora area of Srinagar. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal urges ASEAN to remove barriers and curb misuse of free trade agreements by third parties. 136 countries sign a landmark pact to enforce at least 15% corporate tax on large multinationals. At least 100 people killed in a suicide attack on Shiite mosque in Kunduz city of Afghanistan. ISISK claims responsibility. And in IPL cricket, Mumbai Indians beat Sunrisers Hyderabad by 42 runs but failed to qualify for playoffs. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a great day.